Hello, I'd like to help you make sense of PEMDAS, the order of operations, give you something to organize it in your head. Now remember, first of all, PEMDAS is an acronym. An acronym is a word formed from the first letters of a series of words. For example, NASA, N-A-S-A. Now PEMDAS, we know, means is formed from parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So it's an acronym. But it sounds nicely too. It's not some weird acronym that's hard to say. So it serves as a mnemonic. It's a device to help us remember something. PEMDAS helps us remember which operations to do in the general order they need to be done. I think some misunderstanding some people have is we expect it to be an algorithm. We expect to go in that literal order when that's not really how it was intended. We have no word that's a combination of multiplication or division or addition and subtraction. We have no word that means do all the multiplication and division as you find them from left to right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. No word in the English language like that. We just have to make the best of what we got. We can only say one word at a time. We have to say multiplication and division separately, one before the other. Otherwise it's a hash. It's just a mess. But one thing we do have is PEMDAS, a perfectly good mnemonic that we should use properly with judgment. Don't expect it to do something it can't do. Now, one way people have of remembering PEMDAS, besides PEMDAS, is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's a sentence, complete thought, easy to remember, better than parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So if we take that sentence and diagram it, if we look at the parts of speech and subordination, it'll make more sense. You'll have something to help you remember PEMDAS and the order. So here's a sentence diagram of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. A sentence diagram is a diagram that shows us the relationship between the parts of speech of a sentence, between the words of a sentence. On top goes the bare bones skeleton of the sentence. Down below go the modifiers. So up on top we've got the subject, the verb, and the direct object. We've got you as a subject because when we say please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we're addressing a person. You, that person in particular. You excuse Aunt Sally. Just as when we say, let's say you're leaving somewhere and you tell someone go get the money. You mean you go get the money before we leave. You're addressing that particular person. It's implicit, it's not stated, so we put it in parentheses. Also, there is no Y, word that starts with a Y in the order of operations. Now, excuse is a verb. It's what the you is doing. You excuse. And then Aunt Sally is the object of the excusing. You excuse Aunt Sally in particular. Aunt Sally is a proper name, so we write it like this. Uncle Joe, Aunt Sally. So we have noun, verb, noun on top, subject, verb, object. You excuse Sally. That's a basic part of the sentence. Modifiers down below. My and dear are modifying a noun, so they're adjectives. Please is modifying a verb, so it's an adverb. Now over here, we can look at the adjective questions, so you can check this. And then we can look at the adverb questions. There are 4 adjective questions. My answers whose. That's an adjective question. Whose Aunt Sally? My Aunt Sally. Not theirs or hers, but my Aunt Sally. Dear describes Aunt Sally, so that would be answering the what kind question. Whose is one, what kind is another. Not a mean Aunt Sally or a nice Aunt Sally, but a dear Aunt Sally, someone dear to you. Please answers how. In other words, under what conditions. So please means, remember, if it would be agreeable to you, or if you would be so kind. So if it would be agreeable to you, excuse Aunt Sally. That's what the please means. So it's modifying the verb. It's an adverb. Now if we look at this, these words are all different parts of speech, and we see how they're organized. And then notice that's reflected over here. So whoever thought of this knew their grammar really well and did a good job. Notice that MD are together just as MD are together here. Same part of speech, modifying the same noun, no priority or subordination of the my to the deer. Same thing, no priority or subordination of the multiplication and division. We do them as we find them from left to right. Aunt Sally. Those letters are used to name one person, to name a proper name, no subordination, no priority. They're not different parts of speech. Same thing over here with the A and the S. Addition and subtraction go together as we find them from left to right. There's no priority, no subordination. Hopefully this will help. Understanding the grammar helps you organize and remember this better. And those are two reasons why I think people have some misunderstandings about PEMDAS. We expect it to do something that we really shouldn't expect it to do. We expect it to be an algorithm or a calculating machine, which it's not. Remember, PEMDAS is an acronym and a mnemonic, a device to help us remember something. And it does that perfectly fine. It's the only word we have to remember what the operations are in the general order we should do them in. And another issue that causes a misunderstanding is grammar. We're not taught grammar well enough as we were 40 years ago or more. It's not our fault. That's the way we are taught and trained in school. It's something we each individually have to do something about, and it is worth it. Some places around the country, yes, they still have good grammar training. Some schools, some teachers. I don't know them all, of course. Who does? But I know there's the Laporte School in California, started by Dr. Peter Laporte. The Van Dam Academy in California, started by Lisa Van Dam. On the internet, a good website is English Grammar Revolution. English Grammar Revolution by Elizabeth O'Brien. That's really good for adults, for homeschoolers, for people who want to learn grammar more on their own. It's got the adverb questions, the adjective questions, the parts of speech. Really good for getting ready for the SAT and ACT. I send people over there. Another resource is Rex Barks by Phyllis Davenport. Kudos to Lisa Van Dam for finding out about the book, using it, and getting it republished. Really good book. Recommend it. Now, studying grammar and doing sentence diagramming is important for a variety of reasons, not just for what we saw here, this little mnemonic thing. It's important for reading better. It's important for writing better. And I know in particular, looking at those things, the reading, let's say, in algebra and geometry, when I work with people on word problems and reading theorems, a big part of their problem is not getting the grammar. It's not the math, it's that they don't know the English. I've got to break down the sentences for them so they know what it's talking about and what the adjectives are, what the prepositions are, what the slight issues are, what the main issue is. To break this down, you have to know your grammar. Reading and writing. Clearly, those things are important at work. You do those better, you can present yourself better, you can write better, you can read more complicated material. Clearly an important issue. More generally, this is important to help with logic. Grammar is about how we put words together, how we put concepts together. Clearly that's an important issue in logic. So if we want to up our game, we should study grammar to help us out. There's a lot of other things, but that's one thing. So those are some issues to wrap up, I think cause some trouble with this. But remember, Aunt Sally, A and S, we do those as we find them from left to right. Same part of speech, do them as you find them from left to right. Multiplication and division, same part of speech. Do them as you find them from left to right. Hope this video was informative and helpful. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good day. Bye.